Alright everyone, we start off today with something very, very funny, which is a literal, objective lie from the Beijing Biden administration, of course through White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, not Biden himself, he never answers questions, queried specifically about meeting with some of the business associates of Hunter Biden. And of course, that sets up a possibility where you could insinuate a quid pro quo, people getting paid off for political favors, and is dubiously legal at best, and certainly sleazy. And Psaki, speaking of course for the official position of the White House, sometimes doing that even to the exclusion of what Biden himself has said, like saying that there's a crisis going on with regards to the border. You remember that one a couple of months ago. Saying, well, we don't talk about family business. Basically, Biden and Hunter never coordinated. Now, this is very telling, because if you actually listen to what is asked and what is said in response, this is the same kind of weasel-worded non-answer and non-denial that you just saw from the NSA in regards to Tucker Carlson getting spied on. Oh, essentially, you circle around, semicircle, to a totally different topic and deny that while not really addressing the fundamental sum and substance of what was actually asked. Him meeting with Hunter Biden's people, we can objectively say that happened. They were just trying to clarify, okay, to be clear, does Biden admit to this? Oh, well, they don't talk about business together. That's not what's being insinuated. That's not what's being said happened. That's not what was on the laptop. Now, first and foremost, of course, down below, if you're watching this video on YouTube, there will be 4 other links and a pinned comment to other sites that I use. I make 4 videos a day. Today, remember, is Q&A live stream with Super Chats a day later, because it's Sunday. It's the Lord's Day, the Lord of the Clank. It'll be in a pinned comment if you're watching on YouTube. You should join me there, because again, there is exclusive content every single day. Now, this is a lie, and it's an unfettered lie. It's technically a verbal lie by omission, because there's no denial of the actual premise. It can't be denied. Joe Biden met with Hunter Biden and with business executives that Hunter Biden was dealing with. The insinuation of the non-response, the non-denial here, is that yes, Biden was there, but they didn't talk business. No, he was there with Hunter Biden and Carlos Slim, but they didn't talk about any form of business transaction. Biden was literally just there to have a steak. And some ice cream, of course. Probably on the steak. Steak-flavored ice cream, possibly. I'm sure that he'll be doing that at any point for a photo op, and the legacy media will gobble his shit down. This is a non-denial, because the premise can't be denied. But the original denial from Biden, this is back during the election itself, I did not meet with Hunter Biden's business associates. Specifically, in order to block any possibility of a quid pro quo, I never met them. I never even talked to Carlos Slim. I never talked to Yuri what's-his-name over in Ukraine. I never had anything to do with him. That's his business. No quid pro quo, no quid pro Joe, no problem. But he did. We have pictures proving that he did. The initial statements that he made during the election, again, were a lie. He lied flat out to the American people. This was at least briefly a major story. It was major because the legacy media refused to even talk about it. Their initial response was, well, it's a nothing burger. And when asked, well, how do you know that's a nothing burger? You haven't even looked through Hunter Biden's files. Well, yeah, but because there's nothing to see there, so there's no reason for us to look through them. Totally circular non-reasoning. They're still using it now. They refuse, by and large, to even report on this. On the handful of occasions when a reporter asked the question, every other reporter in that room, listening to this exchange, knew that this is weasel word bullshit. Every single other reporter there, look, they're not that unintelligent. They may be disingenuous by and large. They may be shills, but they're not stupid. They understand that this was a non-denial, and that when a non-denial is made, it's not necessarily proof of guilt, but if it's coming from the president who has already objectively lied on the subject, and you continue to use the circular non-reasoning to avoid even addressing the question as it's being asked, it should be suspicious. There was no follow-through. Nor were you likely to see a follow-through by most mainstream networks. Mainstream media networks are no longer conducting journalism. They have asked virtually no hard questions of Biden since he got in there. So the fact is that he can openly lie about meeting with Biden's business associates. He can at least insinuate a second lie on top of that. His border czar doesn't have to visit the border. All he gets asked about is ice cream. Oh, 5% inflation? Well, here's a piece on why higher inflation is actually, there's a silver lining. It means higher wages. Literally another video that I'm going to be making today. This is nuts. What's happened is that the lamestream has circled wagons around the steward candidate that it used to get the asterisk administration, the cabal of globalists that are there in place. Biden is a figurehead, and now they just refuse to report on anything meaningful. There's been no meaningful reporting, or only barely, from any lamestream network since the presidency in name began. Nothing. A little bit about the border crisis, briefly, but then as soon as Kamala Harris went to El Paso, not even getting, by the way, near the actual border in El Paso itself, and then started rambling about gun crime and unrelated topics, they glazed over, they put on their smiley faces and started bobbing their heads. It is sick and dysfunctional currently what we're seeing from the U.S. lamestream media. Now, part of this is because it's no longer really American media. It's really globalistic media. It's a BBC and the New York Times are basically the same thing. They cross-train anyway. They obviously collude with one another. They don't really compete in a free market of ideas anymore. I mean, the only competition is that they're constantly competing to see who can get their independent commentator competitors censored. People like me or Tim Pool, something like that. Andy No. Wasn't he just canned off of, Spotify or one of these other platforms where he had a show? They canned him, didn't even tell him why. Yeah. So in other words, you get assaulted repeatedly. You're trying to expose the fact that there's pervasive crime going on in U.S. communities, and you're trying to show people that's actually a problem, and you're the one that gets censored and banned. Not the people, by the way, encouraging violence. Very interesting how that happens. Take a look at this, though, for yourself. Link in the description. It's a non-denial. There's no attempt by the Biden administration through Psaki here to deny that he met with the business associates, but that was the initial thing he said didn't happen. The mere fact that he lied about that should be enough for the journalist so-called to do a bit of journalism and ask him the question a few times. Maybe next time when Biden's the one that's actually there after they change his diaper and give him his chocolate ice cream, they can say, hey, months ago, you told me and everyone else in this room you never met with Hunter Biden's people. Here's a picture of you meeting with Hunter Biden's people with Hunter there. Now, we understand, Mr. President, you're denying that you talked about anything business or finance related. It was just a party, but you lied about meeting with them. Why did you do that? Why didn't you just explain, yeah, I met Carlos Slim a couple of times, of all people. And I met cartel heads and Ukrainian oil barons and sheiks and stuff and with my crackhead son, but we only talked about crack. Don't worry, we only talked about sleazy P. Martini as opposed to any quid pro quo going on. And you have to be a moron to believe that. No, he meant that there was a quid pro quo. Essentially, Hunter Biden set up these high-profile meetings, and people paid for access to the vice president. This has happened before. It's an open goddamn secret. It's not just the executive branch that involves itself with it. It's just that Joe Biden actually got caught in the lie, which is why they're on damage control. And that's why I bet the emails have gone out to all of the mainline networks. Don't you dare report on this. Don't let your reporters ask us about it because we're doing damage control. Just let the public forget about it and bury the story. That's about all. Peace out.